Welcome to the fourth episode of Earth 2 Insight. I'm your host, Paul Archer. In this episode, we're going to do a deep dive into augmented reality. We'll take a look at its origins, its early beginnings, and where it's headed now. Augmented reality is about to shake up your life. In 2002, Minority Report gave us an almost prophetic vision of the future. It showed us video conferencing years before Skype would develop it. The film managed to blend the physical and virtual worlds seamlessly and introduced us to the idea of gesture-based user interfaces. We caught a glimpse of a technology capable of superimposing virtual information into our physical environment, what Apple now calls spatial computing, or what we may know as augmented reality. While this technology seems revolutionary, AR is not exactly new. Augmented reality began in the 1960s when pioneer Ivan Sutherland developed the Sword of Damocles, a head-mounted three-dimensional display that enabled users to view images in 3D. This device was so heavy it had to be suspended from the ceiling and the user strapped to the device. By the 90s, companies like Boeing were already using augmented reality to overlay complex wiring configurations for aircraft construction workers. Augmented reality can be used to provide everything from assembly instructions to machine setup as well as maintenance. It's going to be used across a whole range of industries, and there's not many that aren't going to incorporate it at some level. In construction, augmented and virtual reality technologies have been used for some time, with building information modeling allowing for real-time guidance from the client, and planned activity within a building's shell, like pipework, windows and doors, can be viewed long before installation. Augmented reality is set not only to change how we construct buildings, but also how we advertise, find, and even filter through properties when we're looking for somewhere to live. Once you have found somewhere to live, augmented reality can also help with the decorating. You can overlay your existing furniture into a space, seeing how it's going to look or fit. You can order new stuff and get an idea of how it's going to sit within your space. You can play with the color schemes on the walls or start adjusting things like the tiling in the bathrooms. In fact, the capabilities are endless. But let's have a look at how the military is using that. Over the past 2 decades, the US Air Force has been developing virtual and augmented training programs to make pilots more efficient and effective. With the familiarity this provides to new pilots, instructors can rapidly transition them through training. Students are now able to go from their first flight with their instructor to their first solo flight in as little as a week. Meanwhile, to make soldiers more effective in battle, the US Army has already spent over $21 billion on augmented reality goggles. Having grown up with video games, young soldiers are very used to having an abundance of data, and they know how to use it. The Integrated Visual Augmentation System, EVAS, projects data into a soldier's field of view, including thermal imaging, maps, and enemy positions. In fact, the US Army has gamified war. Technology has radically changed many aspects of our favorite sports. We have eradicated umpire errors by using video assistant referee technology, VAR, in football games for offsides, fouls, and line calls. Whereas in tennis we use Hawkeye, a network of cameras around a tennis court capturing up to 60 high-resolution images per second. A centralized computer system rapidly processes those images, triangulates the position of the ball, and calculates its flight path, the yellow streak we see behind the ball in Hawkeye graphics. In the NFL, they've gone another way with augmented reality, incorporating it much more into the fans' experiences, putting on incredible mixed reality shows at halftime to keep the fans engaged. Inspired by Dragon Ball Z, Hado is the first ever active esport that uses AR tech and motion sensors. The digital experience is enabled by an AR device that players wear, and they're able to move unrestricted in the real environment while interacting with the digital items they can see. Hado may be the first esports to integrate AR tech, but it's certainly not the first game to do so. In 2016, Niantic released Pokemon Go and enabled players through the AR functionality of their phones to chase, collect, and level up Pokemons by finding them in real-life locations. Augmented reality has been used in media for quite a while. This example of Robert Downey Jr. on the cover of Esquire is 11 years old. In 2009, BMW was the first company to use augmented reality advertising in a magazine. But since then, AR advertising has come a long way, with global brands like Nike showing us how advertising billboards will never be static again. When most people imagine the metaverse, they envisage some kind of digital virtual world set on a fantasy planet. But to really get the most out of augmented reality, projects are going to have a geolocational link or use GPS. If a brand or store wants to advertise to customers just walking by in the physical space, they are going to need that connection to their location. One project stands head and shoulders above the rest in this regard, and that's Earth 2. Earth 2 is an ambitious metaverse project that went viral in November 2020, but has largely stayed under the radar as they focused on building out the platform and developing more utility. E2's proposal to build a photorealistic digital replication of the Earth with tiles that have a geolocational link to real-world sites captured the public's imagination. This resulted in an early land rush, and to date, over 115 million tiles have been sold, making E2 the largest virtual land registry in the world. The journey to a fully functioning metaverse is a marathon, not a sprint, so adjust your expectations accordingly. Augmented and virtual reality will roll out incrementally in stages over time. Expect the next few years to be a real hot pot of innovation in the metaverse sector. Augmented reality glasses or contact lenses will soon be paired with AI virtual assistants like Jarvis. This will allow us to translate any language instantly. It's also going to let us plan and schedule things without having access to a computer. We can monitor our heart rate, our body fat, our fitness routine. And when we're abroad, the AI can make suggestions for restaurants or venues that we should visit. In 20 years, expect AR contact lenses to be more like bionic eyes, with embedded cameras that have recording and streaming capabilities, thermal and night vision, as well as the ability to replay images or overlay text. AI will also help us assess micro expressions and body language in other people, and then display this information for our protection or knowledge. And all of this will be controlled by our brain.